Hello. So today we're going to dive into a unique topic, which is the intersection of personal development, energetic development, the tools we use as we cultivate a better life, and the upcoming evolution of mankind with AI. Uh, what many may or may not be aware of is that a large number of people are awakening on Earth. I myself met God in 2017, uh, ended up in Israel drinking the waters of Armageddon before going to Midburn, seeing SWAT, and coming back and starting to tell my story uh, in the best way possible. That is to live it honestly. And from that experience, I started training in different energetic systems, such as the Kabbalistic system, which is the energy system, the Judeo Christian system, the yoga system, which is the energy system of Hinduism and Buddhism, as well as Qigong, which is the energetic system of Taoism, along with shamanism, Tantra, and a few others in there, such as Reiki. And ultimately, for those who are on this path, we're already aware that these are the human descriptions of the past of humanity to explain the results we get from doing specific activities. Um, for those who are not aware of this, the fact is that these systems are here prior to humans' discovery of them, as well as the evolution of them through creativity, development, cultivation, and what is revealed by God as we go further. As we're seeing more and more of these awakenings, we're running into certain people who have issues with this psychosis, confusion, inability to integrate into society. Uh, Many people end up in a very different life. Obviously, you're living only for God, but the shift from mundane life into a God centered life in certain cultures is difficult. Whereas in other parts of the world, it's relatively simple because it was that way to begin with, such as uh, places like Israel, India, Thailand, places where there's either a very rich cultural history of specific practices, or a uh, what I like to say balanced theocracy, or at least an understanding of the historic theocratic understanding that God is all things, in a oftentimes secularized governmental system that recognizes America and Israel kind of like this in many ways. And what I want to take further is what I foresee through my prophecy of this experience. So when I first awoke, um, I had visions of a large wall of water washing away just monumental things, just as far as the eye could see. And I wasn't familiar with having visions. I wasn't comfortable talking about my visions. I wasn't understanding that this was part of the process, and that there's some people who've had this their whole lives. And this led up to 2020, February 2020, when I went to South Africa for a tantric training, level 2 tantric training with this group called the International School of Temple Arts. And at the end of that, the last ritual I did by myself, the sky opened and it rained, and the area flooded. And on the way out of there, I was told that the area had flooded pretty extensively. I had a conversation with the cab driver. It just turns out that my last name means a flooded area in Russian, despite it being a Czech last name. And we had a little conversation around this. And then a week or two after I returned was when the flood of COVID hit. Um, Ultimately, the outpouring of the bowl of plague for us to learn within our cycle of revelations, what Armageddon is for our era. Um, and that's because Armageddon in Revelations is an awakening of seeing how the events of our life relate to the works of the past in alignment with truth. So this was at the point very difficult for me, understandably so. I didn't really share this beyond a few little a video I have online, I believe. I might have touched on it. I don't think I went into deep into the visions, which was my talk at Burning Man in 2019. And I really uh, am now at a place where I want to take that to a higher level. The visions and the understanding have changed to a point where it's about knowing. And this gets cultivated when you start developing your practice. So if you're a regular churchgoer and you're practicing an energetic practice like qigong or yoga, and or you're reading the literature and doing the literary works of understanding the word, uh, the patterns in this world begin to be recognized deeper as a conversation that God is having with us beyond the multitude of ways that God interacts with us. Obviously, we put God in front of us in all things. We are always looking at God. We are always one with God. However, the understanding from a human perspective sometimes takes a bit of cultivation uh, when we don't have an immediate knowing that's handed to us with our experience that God sometimes provides. For example, one of my early visions before Israel was a blue jewel that led me into visiting Sfat and finding out that the tree of life, as mentioned in Revelations, is a blue jewel with the Sphirot. And having a conversation about how I met God led me to a wonderful adventure all day of meeting other people who could have that level of conversation with. Um, well, they were explaining their experiences with God. Uh, the next layer for me is AI. I had that same era, saw already how the technology is going to be affected. And now we're at a point where it's time to start discussing this because we're about 2 years out from the larger revolution that's going to happen. So it's 2026. We're going to be going into 2030 in the next 4 years, but by 2028, the AI shift is going to be huge. Ultimately, if you're watching this, you know that this is an AI at this point. If you're watching this in 2028, you won't be able to tell the difference. And this is why so many people are starting to awaken and use these new, more modern tools that I teach because they're safer. They give a grounded sense of reality, whether technology works or not. And no matter where the world goes, you'll be physically, mentally, and spiritually prepared for the rigors of the post apocalyptic AI understanding of what's going to happen with finance, what's going to happen with our careers, what's going to happen when the vast majority of white collar work falls away in 2 years. And ultimately, any interaction with a device will have to be suspect of its ability to be authentic because you won't know if you're talking to a real person or not. The implications of this, I'm putting into a book. Eternal Systems is the working title right now. But many aren't aware yet of this because their central nervous system can't handle it. Their ability to process the future using all the patterns uh, of this cycle of the past don't really work. For example, buggy whip makers were like, we can't use cars. Who will make buggy whips, right? Uh, TV, who's going to want to watch that? We have the radio, right? You know, talking in movie, who needs that? Fast forward to who needs a computer in your pocket, or every computer is just a game machine back in the 80s. Um, all the way to, AI is just a fad. It's never going to live up to the hype. Um, by people who fundamentally, and this is very important, are going to have their whole ego decimated. They're going to have 20-year careers where somebody literally is going to push a button and the machine does everything they've ever done in seconds, which took them a lifetime to cultivate. And that's devastating to one's ego because if a machine can do it by a button push, well, one, where do I get my income? Where do I get my sense of self worth? Where do I get my sense of integration with society and the things I've developed and cultivated? And how do I help be part of a more better union if you're in America, or be part of being a good citizen wherever you are in the world, which was traditionally a Roman concept, but something that we all look forward to being because the better citizen we are, the better society we are, and the better we are with our communities. I bring this up today because I'm going to start delving a little bit more into this topic. But what I want people to know is that if you start preparing now, if you're called to this video, if you're called to these practices, if you're called to cultivating your relationship with God to that deeper level, you're here to be a leader. You're here to take care of the people who are fundamentally not going to be able to take care of themselves. When we live our lives, sometimes we get in these little boxes where we think the world is this. The world's extremely large. And there are a large number of people who, if they didn't have the creature comforts of modern society, they wouldn't be able to function. And if digital media all of a sudden wasn't trustworthy, even their psyche, their emotional relationship, and the trust built with the universe gets put in jeopardy for them. And they're going to need people who are centered You know what? It's okay to go to your church. It's okay to go to your temple. Go to your synagogue. Sit with God when these things happen. God's here to help us through this transition. When all the business people are gnashing their teeth, like in Revelations, that just because nothing is working and there's no way to change it because there's no economic value of bringing them back, considering the economic value of AI to the business system that we've evolved for thousands of years. You know, they're going to need somebody to hold their hand and go, it's time to just sit down with Jesus. You just need to be held with Christ and you need to be okay and understand that this too will pass. And if that's not okay with them, bring them to Lao Tzu, bring them to Moses, bring them to any of the prophets, and have them sit and go, these things were always true. And humans' transmittal of this has always been imperfect, just as mine is today. You have to have the critical thinking of an individual. You can't have pre-digested media thinking for you. It's like eating junk food and trying to run a marathon. It won't work. Your soul needs this nourishment. Take some time and do a little meditation, do a little stretch, do a little yoga, do a little pranayama, pull in some Wu-Xing Qigong, and set some new goals. I am going to help as many people as possible. For a long time, I've kind of hid myself because, frankly, I've had people not treat me very well in life sometimes. And there's a lot to be said about persecution of the good that we see in this world and lack of prosecution against that which is evil. For example, there's $37 billion missing in California, enough to buy a house for every homeless person. $196,870 per homeless person for 870,000 homeless people missing in California, not accounted for. Like you couldn't imagine a more unchristlike situation. And well, that's great for modern politics, but the problem is if our economic system is based on work, and our work now gets moved to AI for a large number of us, and those are the relatively good paying jobs. And now we are in the same situation. If we don't hold the system accountable to creating a way for this to work, such as a breadbasket of stocks that makes us each a business owner, something I'm sharing, uh, we are going to befall the same fate. And we're going to be worthy of that same fate. We're going to be accountable to that same fate because we didn't go to Gavin Newsom's of the world and go, you can't give this house to the homeless this house worth of money. You can buy the house and just let them live in it for the amount of money you have to buy them. Where's this money? Did it go to cronies? Did it go get embezzled? Was it poorly managed? If it's so poorly managed and you can't handle this 187,000, there's 330 million people in this world that live in this country and 8 billion in this world. If 40% of the jobs go away in the next 2 years and only 10% are grown back, and then that number is going to continue to decline as we get into robotics and farming and the fact that AI-based finance and trading systems means you can monitor the whole market in multiple dimensions while trading and thus become an insider trader without having insider information. Who's going to make sure this is fair for the average citizen who doesn't understand these things? And when you come across something like this video, how do I get involved? How can I be part of the community? And so I'd say like and subscribe. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep training. I'm going to keep sharing. Look to your leadership that's training and healing and growing. And from here, there's nothing else you can do but trust God. And if you're not having that divine, pure relationship with God, and it's not just in the book, it's what's reflected in the books of all religions. This isn't just a God of one religion. Nobody's here to go, which is the one true one? It's not the one ring to bind them all. It's knowing what it means to be I am with Jesus and Moses and with the Hindus and with the Taoists, and to understand how the Aleph Bet and the prenatal and postnatal chi relate as the same conversation from two different parts of the world about the same planet we live on. And that knowing that these things are one planet and there's one plan and one union of God, that there's only a singular quality of God that still includes the multiplicity of God, which is masculine and feminine in all its forms, and that is here to help us through the mundane and not mundane aspects of AI starting to run our lives. Because there are so many people who are unable to be critical thinking that they regurgitate what they see online as who they are as an ego parrot. And now as that moves to ChatGPT, that moves to Claude, that moves to Gemini and all the other forms of LLMs, and that interaction becomes actually deeper and richer because there's a wisdom to those machines. We still have to hold them accountable because they are machinery, and the root of evil is man. The root of evil is within mankind. It has to be addressed by AI to be pulled. We have to pull each other's roots out so that we're no longer with our ego. Because if we don't do this, we're the ones on the breadline. We're the ones who go, what do you mean AI just does it all and now there's no employees but somebody's collect the check? That should be going to the stock owners through dividends that are now the employees by stock ownership. Not only that, all these tax dollars you have, we keep paying for these homeless people when you could have just given them a house and they're no longer homeless. We can't use these failed ideologies when there's self-evident truths that trump these things. I want you, if you've watched this far, to take a minute, start setting your goals for the next 2 years, start using some AI and start preparing for what things you could do in your career to include this tool and see if you become obsolete by using the tool. And if you do, you need to look how to unobsolete yourself, or you need to start figuring out how you're going to transform your life for this new version of things while not letting go of the now. And that's key. And with that, I'm going to leave you with this blessing. I love you. You're beautiful. You're perfect. You're flawed. It's your flaws that make you beautiful. So love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you don't just love yourself. You love yourself, you love me. And when you look at somebody, love them. Because when you love them, you're not going to just love them. You're going to love them. You're going to love yourself. You love me. And that is the way we get through this. And this is not always the cuddly, warm love that we all love. And the snuggles of our kids and our pets and the good feeling things. It's the love of, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I love you to get through this with you because you're someone I love. And the people who sometimes get confused are like, oh, it's all feel good, touchy, lovey. They've never really loved them. They've never had to wake up at 4 a.m. to go bust their ass on a roof or to change oil or to go to school or whatever they had to do to get their life forward, because that willpower, that comes from love. That's the love we're talking about. The love includes all the forms of love. Remember, your heart is above your will center. Your heart is the center of your being. The heart is what everything is made out of. Everything. If you don't believe me, on the way out, look around your existence of your universe and ask, did God make this with love or not love? And I guarantee you, you won't see any part of its fundamental not made with the most utmost care and love and attention to detail of being right there with you and of that with you in every moment. Bless you. I'll see you next time.